Okay, let me go straight to my first guest. Ashosh Bedrosian is spokesperson for the foreign media in the Prime Minister's office in Tel Aviv. Appreciate your joining us, Ms. Bedrosian. I want to understand from you, the President of the United States has described this day as a new dawn, a historic dawn of a new Middle East. Is that how Israel sees it? Are we seeing a new Middle East, or is it very premature given the huge trust deficit that still exists on either side of the divide between the Palestinians and the Israelis?
Well, I'll take you on a micro scale of that. Can you imagine that 20 human beings were trapped in Gaza by a terror organization in underground tunnels? And after 2 years, they get a second chance at life and are now back in Israel, reuniting with their families, feeling these embraces for 738 days. They miss these moments. And this is an incredible moment of a new chapter for Israel, a new chapter going forward, where these families are reunified. And the Prime Minister has promised since day one he will bring back all of our hostages. Here we are now, all 20 of our living hostages are back. People feel here in Israel they can breathe again. They feel as if they have the ability to go on with their life. And they don't have to stay up late anymore and overthink and worry. And this is how Israel feels on a micro scale. And it's a commitment the Prime Minister has made since day one, and it's a commitment he is following through on. In addition, we still have 28 bodies inside of the Gaza Strip at this point in time. I'm hearing that the IDF actually just picked up the remains of two possible Israeli captives at this point in time. We do know they still need to be identified. They will be brought to our Forensic Institute in the Tel Aviv area. And then their family, if it is in fact an Israeli hostage, their family will be notified. But I'll tell you, the mood here is, it feels like it's new energy. There's new life. There's life back in Israel, the life that everyone has missed. And the Prime Minister has made it his goal to do this, and here he's following through on it.
You're mentioning the Prime Minister and the fact that you claim that Prime Minister Netanyahu, right from day one, said he would bring the hostages back. 20 of them came back today, the ones who were living. But Donald Trump seems to be taking a lot of the credit for what has happened. Does the Israeli government also recognize that it was Donald Trump who essentially piloted this, and therefore he was the real driver of this entire exchange of the hostages?
Well, President Trump is one of the reasons why we got to the finish line here. Remember, Hamas has consistently been an obstacle in negotiations. And with the help from President Trump and the diplomatic pressure he put on the terror group, we have gotten to the point where Hamas agreed to release all of our hostages. And Prime Minister Netanyahu thanks President Trump day in and day out for all of his support for the state of Israel in the past, in the present, in the future. President Trump has been the greatest friend to the state of Israel, pretty much in the entire White House. That's what Prime Minister Netanyahu consistently says. He is the greatest friend Israel has ever seen in the White House. So it's this incredible relationship and coordination Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump have had together to get us to this point, in addition to all of the military pressure and the decisions Prime Minister Netanyahu has needed to make in order to get to this point in time. Together, the two of them are two incredible forces and leaders who got life back today for Israelis, who got these moments back for Israelis.
Ashosh, the reason I asked you whether this is really a historic new dawn in the Middle East, because the question still arises over what happens to Gaza, what happens to the idea of a Palestinian, independent Palestinian state. Those issues seem to be kept on the back burner for a future date. Can you give any kind of guarantee that Israel will work towards ensuring that there is some kind of a agreement on the eventual formation of a two-state solution of two states, Israel and Palestine, side by side? Or is that not even being considered or contemplated at the moment? Or indeed, what happens in Gaza next?
Well, I don't think that anything is put on the back burner. What we saw today, the release of our hostages, was just the first phase of this plan that's currently still being worked out. Remember, Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it very clear, and he does see a future for this plan, and he has said that from the beginning, that Hamas needs to be demilitarized, it needs to be disarmed. Hamas cannot have a future in Gaza governing the Palestinian people, and Gaza can no longer pose a threat to the state of Israel ever again. There can no longer be terrorism in Gaza. And so, of course, this has been an objective for the prime minister since October 7th, with the top one, of course, being to release all of our hostages, but also making sure there is no threat inside of Gaza as well. And of course, all of these things still need to be officially worked out, but that is, what this 20-point plan says.
No, but let's be very clear. Are we in a situation where we can say with any conviction, shows that we are heading towards some kind of a permanent peace? Or is this a temporary truce? 2,000 Palestinian prisoners have been exchanged. We still don't know whether Hamas has been fully demilitarized. I come back to it. Is there a commitment to a long-term peace in Gaza that would include a two-state solution of an Israeli and Palestinian state coexisting peacefully side by side? Wouldn't that really be the breaking of a new dawn in the Middle East?
Well, of course, the goal is to create peace in the Middle East. That's all Israel has ever wanted. And it's all Israel will ever want, is to create peace in the Middle East. And the first step of that is making sure that the rest of the phased plan and the entire plan goes through. And of course, those details still need to be worked out at this point in time. But this is the prime minister is pushing forward here for what I just named, which is, like I said, making sure Gaza doesn't pose a threat.
No, but
to
I don't
Israel.
see. Sorry to persist. Ma'am, but I don't see anywhere in the plan the idea of a Palestinian state being mentioned. 140 countries have recognized it in the past. In recent weeks, many other countries have recognized it. Does Israel still refuse to accept the idea of a Palestinian state, which could be the next step, or at least the end goal? Is that an end goal or not, is what I'm asking, because the hostages released was an important element. But do you concede that eventually, for a permanent, durable peace, Israel will also have to do much more?
This is a first step to getting peace in the Middle East. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And there are still so many things that need to be worked out. What I can tell you that's happening right now, and I just, will reiterate it in this interview for you, is the fact that we're currently in a moment. We're focused on this moment, which is still needing to get back 28 bodies. I mean, we need to talk about that in order for there to even be conversations about what could even happen next. We're still in the first phase of all of this. Hamas has not provided 28 bodies at this point in time. That is the focus of Israel right now. There are plans for the future of what that could look like, but I'm happy to discuss with you the first phase of all this because that's what's happening right now, and that's the information I can provide you with.
Okay, so just in conclusion, what does this first phase of a hostage exchange, where hostages have come back home, Palestinian prisoners have been exchanged in return, what does this first phase mean for Israel today? That's the big question. What is this first phase, therefore, a sign that we can say with some confidence that we are seeing the end, at least, of the war? Is there a guarantee that there will be no further bombings or any kind of violence perpetrated in Gaza? Because there are those who feared on the Palestinian side that the moment Hamas releases the hostage, they lose the one lever they may have over Israel.
Well, they shouldn't have hostages in the first place. These are innocent people that were taken on October 7th. There shouldn't even be a conversation about leverage because they shouldn't have any innocent people in their possession to begin with. But going back to your comment, there's a ceasefire in Gaza right now, and that's what is currently taking place. But you mentioned, of course, what does what does this all mean for Israel? And like I said, I don't think the full first phase of this, and it's not completed. We're still waiting for these 28 hostages, bodies of hostages to come back. And we're still in this moment, like I said before, the IDF said that they would likely be collecting
Okay.
remains of 4 hostages at some point today, but only 2 of them have been picked up at this point in time. And we don't know if they're hostages yet. It hasn't even been confirmed. It needs to go through an entire identification process, which could take hours,
Right.
it could take days. But we're still in this moment. And let's not forget that there are families that still need to bury their loved ones who do not even have
Sure.
the remains of their loved ones in this possession at this point in time.
I take your point. That point is well taken, Ashosh Bedrosian. I appreciate you joining us on this and describing what really this moment has meant there at the moment for the Israel government. Thank you so much for joining me here on the news today. Appreciate you taking the time at a time what's been a dramatic day for your country.